بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم حكيم اللهم اجعل هذه المحاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. All praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity, inshallah, to cover this tremendous book, a book called Minhaj al-Haq from Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala. This book is a manduma, which is lines of poetry. And this book comprises of two key elements. Number one, al-aqidah, and number two, al-akhlaq. Number one, the Islamic belief system for a Muslim, and number two, the mannerisms and the moral conduct of a Muslim. The Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he wrote this book when he was about 23 years old, as was mentioned. For those that know Arabic, there's also an explanation of this book from a Shaykh Abdul Rahman, a Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr rahimahullah ta'ala, from the ulama of Medina. And so we're going to read from full parts from this book, inshallah. Allah likewise will also add some other points of benefit. However, this is a very, very important book. As a Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr, may Allah preserve him, he mentions in part of the introduction, he starts off by saying, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sallallahu wa sallam alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. He starts off by praising Allah and he says, Amma ba'd. So now he's going to talk about this book and its importance. He says, فَهَذِي أَبْيَاتٌ عَظِيمَةٌ. These are great lines of poetry. مَنْظُومَةٌ نَافِيَةٌ لِلْإِمَامِ الْعَلَّامَةِ. This is a great book of poetry that has been put together by a great imam, and he's considered, this was one of Shaykh Uthaymeen's scholars, Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di. And he said, Al-Imam al-Allama, al-Faqih. He is a scholar. He's also known to be a Faqih. That means a person who understands Islamic legislation very well. Wal-Mufassir. And he is also a Mufassir. That is one who, does anyone know what it takes to be a Mufassir? Right. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he has a book called Usul al-Tafsir. In this book called Usul al-Tafsir, it gives you the principles to understand tafsir of the Quran. It gives you the ability. For example, is this tafsir ma'thur? Is this tafsir based on text, or is this tafsir based on ra'i, on opinions? There are principles with regards to books of tafsir. Meaning, no one can read an ayah and come up with their own explanation of the ayah. As this is something that is a tremendous error, or serious error in the religion. So this Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di, he is a faqih, Hanbali. He's a Hanbali scholar. He also understands Hanbali fiqh. He also wrote books in fiqh, in the Hanbali fiqh. He has a book called Minhaj al-Salikin, which is a very small mukhtasar, summarized book of Hanbali fiqh. And he is a mufassir. One who, the Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di also has his own book of tafsir. In fact, his book of tafsir, part of it has been translated into English. So for those, I haven't read the English translation, but his book is in English. If you have the ability to get it, perhaps you should. It's extremely beneficial. He is also al-muhaqqiq. Al-muhaqqiq is one who makes tahqiq. And what that means is one who checks the text. Turn that down some. One who checks the text and narrations very carefully before they make statements. He's a muhaqqiq. So from some of the muhaqqiq, بعض المحققين من السلف, Imam al-Marudhi, Shaykh al-Islam is also considered from the muhaqqiqeen. They're very certain and particular when they make statements. They do their extreme research. Abdurrahman ibn Nasir ibn Abdullah ibn Nasir ibn al-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala ghafarallahu lah wa hawad khayran kathira fawaid azima fi bayan minhaj al-haq. He said that in this book there's great benefit in understanding what minhaj al-haq is. What is minhaj al-haq? What does that mean, and how can I benefit from it? A lot of times when it comes to aqeedah, we have a tendency to perhaps read a lot of books, understand a lot of terms and terminology and phrases, but there's no implementation upon the limbs, or very little implementation upon the limbs. A brother can sit and tell you, I memorized this book of aqeedah, for example, Thalathatul Usul, Qawaid Arba, and all these other different books. You memorize them all, but there's no implementation, or very little implementation. And so in this book, the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he's going to discuss those issues in detail. How we should believe in Allah. Who is Allah? How many brothers and sisters accept Islam? They learn about Islam, they want to be Muslim. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them to Al-Islam. While they are Muslim, they're not educated properly. They're not educated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided them to Islam, but once they become Muslim, they're led astray. How many people do we know that accepted Islam and then left Islam? How many people do you know that I used to be a Muslim, but what happened? Most of these people, if not all of these people, they were all misinformed. They were misinformed and not properly educated. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he told Mu'adh ibn Jabal, when he sent him for da'wah to Yemen, he said, Mu'adh, you're going to a qawmun kada, you're going to a people of Ahlul Kitab, you're going to the people of the book. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he educated Mu'adh on the people he was going to in order to give them da'wah. How can you give people da'wah if you don't know their situation? If you don't know where they come from? If you don't know what they have been through? You have no understanding of that. It's going to be very difficult to convey information and concepts about the deen if you don't know who you're talking to. And this is why many of the ulama, specifically the ones that we studied with, a lot of times we have issues and they say to us, Ahlu Mecca adra bi shi'abiha. The people of Mecca, they are more understanding of their people. And what they mean by that is the people of a place, they're more knowledgeable about their place than people that are not from that particular place. Perhaps some things may fly in one culture and one society, but it may not fly in our culture, in our society. So the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he says, الَّذِي يَنْبَغِي أَنْ يَلْزَمَهُ الْمُسْلِمُ. He said this book, it contains in it things that are necessary for a Muslim to know. Aqeedatan, in terms of their belief system. Ibadatan. So with aqeedah comes ibadah. With understanding who Allah is and how to worship Allah in terms of theoretically, then we have to put it into practice with what? With ibadah. We have to put our aqeedah into practice and make it ibadah, make it worship. And then khuluqan, we also have to carry ourselves in manners that are befitting of a Muslim, in a manner or way that is befitting for a Muslim. And he says, وَقَدْ نَظَّمَهَا رَحِمَهُ اللَّهُ فِي وَقْتٍ مُبَكِّرٍ فِي حَيَاتِهِ. And he said, the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he put this book of poetry together at a very early age in his life. Perhaps he was around 23 years old. So, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to start tonight's class with covering the first line of poetry. The Shaykh Rahimahullah ta'ala. And also, inshallah, we have some copies of the translation of these lines of poetry in English. And so the plan is the next time we have class, we have a few of them, and then if not, we'll make copies of them. Perhaps we even post them online for anyone's watching online if they want to follow along. We also get someone to post them online, the pages of the book, just the lines of poetry, just so that person can follow along with each line of poetry. There is about 65 lines of poetry in this book. And so tonight, inshallah, we will just cover the first line of poetry. So the Shaykh, he starts off by saying, فَيَا سَائِلًا عَنْ مَنْحَجِ الْحَقِّ يَبْتَغِي سَلُوكَ طَرِيقِ الْقَوْمِ حَقًّا وَيَسْعَدُ. So the Shaykh, rahimahullah ta'ala, he started off these lines of poetry with a nida. A nida in Islam or in Arabic is the call. So he says, فَيَا سَائِلًا, O questioner, O the one who is asking a question. A nida as-nasih. They said that here, if you want to ask someone something, all right? If you want something, there are different ways to call people. You can say, yo, come here. Right? That's one way. It's a way, hey, can you please, I need to talk to you. It's very important. There's different approaches that we have when we talk to people, right? So he says this approach here, in this line of poetry, is a type of approach, he say, nida al-nasih. This is the call of a person who wants to give you advice, al-mushfiq, one who loves to convey something good to you, al-murabbi, a person who will love to convey something to you and they care about you. They want to make sure your nourishment is good. You're a murabbi, right? He says, وَقَالَ فَيَا سَائِلًا عَنْ مَنْهَجِ الْحَقِّ يَبْتَغِي. They said, oh questioner, about the minhaj al-haq. He says, hey, men yuridu li nafsihi minhaj al-haq. Whoever wants for themselves the minhaj al-haq. What is minhaj al-haq? He says, وَالطَّرِيقَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. It is the straight path. Whatever a Muslim wants the straight path, وَالْهُدَى الْقَوِيمِ, the straight path of guidance. الَّذِي تَكُونُ بِهِ نَجَاتُهُ. This path of guidance, this pathway will be the way for a Muslim to achieve true success. He will find najah and falah. He will find success and happiness. Sa'adatu fi dunya wal akhirah. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the true path of Islam is the only way to true happiness. Everyone is searching for happiness. There's not a human being on this earth except that they want to be happy. Some people believe that if you had X amount of dollars, it's going to make you happy. We just saw a few weeks ago, a famous designer killed herself. Million, wealthy. Another famous chef killed himself a couple days after that, wealthy. So money is not the key to happiness. Although most people, they might doubt that and say, oh, I would like to chance that myself, right? But at the end of the day, money is not going to make you happy. Perhaps you have money today. Let's just think theoretically. Right now, you have all the money in the world you want, right? In theory. You can buy whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, and then after a while, because we're Beni Adam, you're going to get bored. You're going to get bored. Then what? What's behind the money? Because now, you're going to have a whole bunch of fake people. You're going to have a whole bunch of new friends. Now you don't, are they messing with me because I have money or because, So now you're suspect to everyone in your circle. You think that person's happy? No. He doesn't trust anybody. Islam, minhaj al-haq, the path of righteousness, a person will find happiness in their relationship with their Creator, and how they look at the world around them, and how everything that they see, they know that it's from Allah, and they have no doubt about that. So he says, وفي هذا تصحيح النية في السؤال وهو أمر تمس الحاجة إليه فمن الناس ما لا يوفق لصلاح النية في سؤاله. And so the Shaykh Rahimahullah, or the Shaykh Habibullah, he's talking about some people are not given tawfiq, success when it comes to asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for things. A person might ask Allah, oh Allah, allow me to have a good husband or wife. Oh Allah, bless me with a new job. Oh Allah, bless me with a big house. But the question that we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to put us upon a straight path. The prophets, alayhi salam, they would ask Allah to give them righteous offspring. They would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them from those who establish the salah. Oh Allah, make me from those who establish the salah. Wa dhurriyyati, and my children. This is a good dua. Because in this case, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you from those who establish the prayer. So it says here, وَصَلَاحُهَا أَن يَنْوِي السَّائِلِ. So it says the type of intention that a person should have when they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for things, رَفَعَ الْجَهْلِ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ وَعَنْ غَيْرِهِ. That he should ask Allah to remove the ignorance from himself and from those around him with his niyyah. وأن يكون في سلوكه وسيره إلى ربه تبارك وتعالى على صراط مستقيم, and that his pathway should be to follow the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, jadatan sawiyya, and be serious about it. Unfortunately, we live in a town and in a place where everything is about the look. Everything. Everyone looks religious. Everyone looks like they're doing the right thing. Everyone's this, everyone's that. And it's unfortunate because in our town, in our places, sin has become easy. It's acceptable. How is it acceptable in the Islamic center? You walk outside the Islamic center, brothers are in the center, they leave the center, they start smoking in front of the place. As if this is normal behavior. What's the problem? What do you mean what's the problem? Huh? We have problems in our community when it comes to Islam, morals, Aqidah. Most people don't even know who Allah is. We have real issues. And these issues start by sitting down and contemplating and thinking about them. So he says, وَأَنْ يَكُونَ فِي سُلُوكِهِ وَسِيرِهِ لِرَبِّهِ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى, and that the people are serious when they go along that path. And he says, عَنْ مِنْهَجِ الْحَقِّ. As for the minhaj al-haq, what is it exactly? He says, rahimahullah wa hafidhullah ta'ala, may Allah preserve him. He says, minhaj al-haq huwa tariq al-bayyin al-wadih. It's a clear path. What does that mean? Everyone talks about the clear path. They're clear, they're not clear. You ever heard this before? People being clear, some people cloudy and all of that. So the Shaykh Hafidhullah, he says that it is a clear path. Wadih. Minhaj al-haq. وهو السبيل الذي ينبغي أن يسلكه المسلم. This is the pathway that is incumbent for any Muslim to follow. So, Tariq al-Haq in al-Islam is not just for these people over here and without those people over here. Not. Rather, Tariq al-Haq in al-Islam is for everyone. Every Muslim should follow the path of Haq, or the path of the truth. وَالطَّرِيقَ الَّتِي يَمْضِي عَلَيْهَا فِي عَقِيدَتِهِ وَعِبَادَتِهِ وَخُلُقِهِ. And in this pathway, a person might follow and must follow this path in their aqidah, how they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَعِبَادَةً, and how they worship Allah. We can't worship Allah any way we feel like it. There are prescribed ways to worship Allah. وَخُلُقِهِ, and likewise in our mannerisms. Some people neglect the issue of your Islamic mannerisms. But if anyone ever studied Aqidah Wasatiyah, you find in the end of the book, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he speaks about Islamic mannerisms. Mannerisms, conduct is very important as a Muslim. And he says, يَبْتَغِي سَلُوكَ الطَّرِيقِ يَبْتَغِي سَلُوكَ الطَّرِيقِ الْقَوْمِ حَقًّا وَيَسْعَدُ. So he says, A, يَبْتَغِي بِسُؤَالِهَا مِنْهَجَ الْحَقِّ هَذَيْنَ الْأَمْرَيْنِ. When a person is asking about the minhaj al-haq, or the correct path, then they are asking for about two things. Two things in particular. Number one, saluk tariq al-qawmi haqqan. That you want to follow the path of the qawm, of the people that came before us. You want to follow the path of those that came before us. That's number one. Haqqan, in truth, not just in theory. And yas'ada fi dunyahu wa ukhrahu. And likewise, you want happiness, and you're searching for what? You're searching for what? The dunya, in your dunya and your next life. You're looking for happiness in your dunya and your next life. This is the goal. فَجَمْعٌ بَيْنَ الْوَصِيلَةِ وَالْغَايَةِ. So then the first part is the pathway, meaning the path, saluk, the way of the people of the path, or the past. You follow their pathway, and the goal is paradise. The goal is happiness in this life and happiness in the next life. So he says, قال ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى. Ibn al-Qayyim is from the student of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. He said, فَهَا هُنَا أَمْران. He said, here we have two issues. طَرِيقَةٌ وَغَايَةٌ. We have the path and we have the goal. We have the path in front of us and we have the goal which is at the end. He says, فَطَرِيقُ الْهُدَى وَالْغَايَةِ وَغَايَةَ السَّعَادَةِ وَالْفَلَاحِ. He said the pathway is guidance, and the goal for this guidance is what? Paradise and happiness. Name one Muslim that comes from the inner city here in Philadelphia that was not Muslim before, except that they accepted Islam, hoping for what? Hoping for Allah's pleasure and hoping to gain paradise. You guys know any Muslim that accepted Islam, except that they wanted to do better and rectify their affair with their Lord? Huh? You know anybody? No. So the question is, what happens? What happens to Muslims when they accept Islam and for whatever reason they're not able to find the straight path, or that somehow they get led astray? What happens? So we're going to learn about that too, inshallah ta'ala. And he says, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْلُكْ هَذِهِ الطَّرِيقَ لَمْ يَصِلْ إِلَى هَذِهِ الْغَايَةِ. Whoever does not tread that path, minhaj al-haq, whoever does not tread that path, aqidatan, ibadatan, and khuluqan, whoever does not tread that path of having the correct belief in Allah, the correct type of worship, and the correct mannerisms, they will never find that. They will be lost. As Ibn al-Qayyim mentions, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْلُكْ هَذِهِ الطَّرِيقَ. Whoever does not go along that path will not reach the ghaya, will not reach the goal. Will not reach the goal. So then the question is, there's a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he would make. He would say, Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Oh Allah, guide me. There's two things here. There's a guidance to al-Islam. A person can become Muslim. Oh Allah, Allahumma ihdini, guide me, wa saddidni. The term saddidni, as we find in some of the explanations of this hadith, is like a sahm. A sahm is like an arrow. So you know how you have a dartboard or a bow and arrow set? You want to hit the target. The sahm here is right in the middle. Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Oh Allah, guide me, but allow me to hit the bullseye. Allow me to hit the middle. This is the type of dua that the Prophet ﷺ will make. Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Oh Allah, guide me and allow me to hit the target. Allow me to hit. It's almost like the guidance will bring you to the target, but the sahm will take you right to the bullseye. This is the type of dua that the Prophet ﷺ will make. Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. So he said, وَهُوَ الطَّرِيقَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. This pathway, لا عوج فيه. There's no crookedness on this path, طريق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. فالمراد بالقوم. And this, when he says the path of the people that proceed, who are these people? What do we need to know about these people that they're talking about here? He says, A al-kummal, the people that were complete. الَّذِينَ وَفَّقَهُمَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ بِالْعِنَايَةِ بِالْخَيْرِ. These are the people that came before us, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to reach total goodness. Ilman, in their knowledge, wa amalan, in their actions, فَكَانُوا قُدْوَةً لِمَنْ بَعْدَهُمْ. And these people, they became examples for those that came behind them, meaning us. These people were examples for us. This is why you find, when I first started learning more about Islam, I would read little narrations from scholars of the past and some of their behaviors. And I was amazed, like for example, the Sheikh Abdullah ibn Mubarak. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he was one of the great scholars during his era. And what did he do that was it was something that stood out. It was time for Hajj, and the people wanted to make Hajj. So he collected the money from the people so he can put their Hajj package together for them. So Abdullah, this is a Sheikh, Imam, Abdullah ibn Mubarak. He died in the 3rd century, or the 2nd century. He took all of the people in his area, he took their money. And so he took their money, and he was supposed to use their money so they can make Hajj. So they all traveled to Hajj. When they traveled to Hajj, people bought what they wanted to buy based off the money that he took from them. So, people were allocated whatever they bought, and then they came back from Hajj. When they came back from Hajj, Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he called all the people together in the town, all the people that made Hajj. He called them all together around him. And when he called these people together, he gave them all a package, every last one of them. So they thought perhaps this was a gift that he gave everyone, but in reality, it was the money that they spent for Hajj. He gave them all their money back. He paid for everyone's Hajj. Abdullah ibn Mubarak. This is a scholar, a great scholar during his time. He paid for everyone's Hajj. There's another narration about him. During the town, his town was invaded by a group of people. They invaded his town. And the people, they were slaughtering the people in his town. Abdullah ibn Mubarak. They were slaughtering the people. Killing all of them. Slaying everyone that came in the path. Everyone was scared. And he said all of a sudden, a man came out of nowhere with a mask on his head. And he started fighting, and he was able to fight the people and run off the people who invaded his town. And the people, they were curious, who is this person fighting for us, helping us? And they ran after him. And the man was running away from them, but they ran after him. And they caught him and they ripped the mask off, and it was Abdullah ibn Mubarak. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, the great scholar. So when we look at Islam, when we say the Tariq al-Qawm, the people that preceded us, it wasn't from the companions. It came after the companions. Tariq al-Qawm, the people that came before us, Islam was serious to them. Islam was serious to them. They didn't play games. They didn't use Islam to overpower people. They didn't use Islam to take advantage of people. They didn't use their knowledge to oppress people. They used their knowledge to benefit people. They used their knowledge to uplift people. And so we find here a statement, قال الأوزاعي رحمه الله. Imam al-Awza'i is also from the earlier scholars. Now mind you, this is what he said during his time. اصبر نفسك على السنة. He said, be patient with the sunnah. وقف حيث وقف القوم. And stop where the people of the past stopped. قل بما قالوا. Say what they say. وكف عما كف عنه. And stop on the things that they stopped upon. Somebody left the lights on in their corner. Beam. So he says, Waqif, حيث وقف القوم. He said, وَاسْلُكْ سَبِيلَ سَلَفِكَ. He said, go upon the pathway of your predecessors, meaning Salafik as-Salih, the righteous predecessors, those who came before you. فَإِنَّهُ يَسْعُكْ مَا وَسِعَهُمْ. For indeed, what made them happy should make you happy. It should be sufficient for you. And then we have some other statements from Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. He wrote to a man. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was the grandson of Umar ibn Khattab. He was the leader of the Muslims, and some of them say he was the Khalifa al-Khamis. He was the fifth of the Khulafa al-Rashideen. Some of them say that Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was the fifth of the Khulafa al-Rashideen. You know, in Islam we have the Khulafa al-Rashideen. There are four. You know who they are? Huh? So the first we have Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. After the death of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we have Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. After Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who do we have after him? Huh? Umar ibn Khattab. Umar ibn Khattab. And after him we have who? Uthman ibn Affan. And after him we have Ali ibn Abi Talib. It's important for all the Muslims to know who these four people were. These four companions were all promised paradise in their lifetime. These four companions were all promised paradise in their lifetimes. So Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, he came after them. Some of us say he was a Khalifa as well. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz is also known to be the grandson of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala. So anyway, he wrote to a man. He was a leader, and he wrote to a man during his time. He said, Salamun alayk. He said, I give you the salams, amma ba'. As for what follows, فَإِنِّي أُوصِيكَ بِتَقْوَى اللَّهِ. He said, for indeed I advise you to fear Allah. وَاقْتِصَافِ أَمْرِهِ. And be just, be considerate in Allah's affairs. وَاتِّبَعْ سُنَّةَ رَسُولِهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And follow the sunnah of his prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَتَرْكِ مَا أَحْدَثَ مُحَدِّثُونَ. And leave off any innovation in the religion. بَعْدَمَا جَلَتْ بِهِ السُنَّةُ. After the sunnah has come to you. وَكُفُوا مُؤُنَّتُهُ ثُمَّ اعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَمْ تَكُنْ بِدْعَةٌ قَدْ إِلَّا وَقَدْ مَضَى قَبْلُهَا مَا هُوَ دَلِيلٌ عَلَيْهَا وَعِبْرَةٌ فِيهَا. And pay attention, he said there is no bid'ah, there is no innovation in a religion except that there is an indicator or dalil that will show you that this is an innovation in a religion, or a sign that will indicate to you that this is an innovation in the religion. And we'll stop on that note really quick. It's important, brothers, that anytime you hear people say that such and such is a bid'ah, or that is a bid'ah, or you can't give a lecture there, or you can't go to this masjid, it has to be based on dalil, kitab, sunnah, fahm as-salaf wal-ummah. Kitab, sunnah, fahm, or understanding of the scholars of the past, or the companions, and agreement. This is very, very important. Otherwise, it's just kalam, it's just speech in the wind. We need dalil. He says, فَعَلَيْكَ بِلَزُومَ السُّنَّةِ. Then it is upon you to hold on to the sunnah. فَإِنَّهَا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ لَكَ عِصْمَةً. Then it is a safety or protection for you. فَإِنَّ السُّنَّةَ إِنَّمَا سَنَّهَا مَنْ قَدَ عَلِمَ مَا فِي خِلَافِهَا مِنَ الْخَطَأِ وَالزَّلَلِ. He said, as far as the sunnah, the one who established it, he knew what was in opposition to it and what was considered an astray from it. فَرْضَى لِنَفْسِكَ بِمَا رَضِيَ بِهِ الْقَوْمِ. So take pleasure and take happiness for yourself that which made those who came before you happy. Take pleasure in the things that the people in the past took pleasure in. فَإِنَّهُمْ عَنْ عِلْمٍ وَقَفُوا. He said, for indeed those that came before us. Now this is Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. He was in the 3rd century or the 2nd century. He said, for indeed, those that came before us, upon knowledge is where they stopped. وَبِبَصَرٍ نَافِذٍ كَفْوٍ, with their eyes they also stopped. وَهُمْ كَانُوا عَلَى كَشْفِ الْأُمُورِ أَقْوَى, and when it comes to seeing all of the affairs, they are stronger than us. وَبِفَضْلِ مَا كَانُوا فِيهِ أَوْلَى, and they were given more than us. فَإِنَّهُمْ السَّابِقُونَ, for indeed they preceded us. وَلَئِنْ كَانَ الْهُدَى مَا أَنْتُمْ عَلَيْهِ لَقَدْ سَبَقْتُمُوهُمْ إِلَيْهِ. And if we see, he says, if you see what you to be upon, if you see what you are upon to be was correct, then verily they preceded all of you in that. وَلَئِنْ قُلْتَ حَدَّثَ بَعْضُهُمْ حَدَثٌ فَمَا أَحْدَثَهُ إِلَّا مَنْ خَالَفَ سَبِيلَهُمْ. He said, and if you say that there are innovations that came after them, therefore indeed those innovations only came after their, or is in opposition to their pathway. وَرَغِبَ بِنَفْسِهِ عَنْهُمْ, and a person, they were pleased to go against that which they have laid down. لَقَدْ تَكَلَّمُوا مِنْهُ بِمَا يَكْفِي وَوَصِفُوا مِنْهُ مَا يَشْفِي فَمَا دُونَهُ مُقَصِّرٌ وَلَا فَوْقَهُمْ مُحَصَّرٌ وَلَا قَصَّرَ عَنْهُمْ أَقْوَامٌ فَجَفُوا وَطَمَعَ عَنْهُمْ آخَرُونَ فَغَلُّوا. So whoever is in opposition to them, the people that came before us, you will find loss. Whoever thinks that they can worship Allah better than those people who came before us, then you are fooling yourself. Then you are fooling yourself and you are oppressing yourself. وقال الله تعالى والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah At-Tawbah, He says, وَالسَّابِقُونَ الْأَوَّلُونَ. As for those the earlier ones that followed Allah's pathway, the pathway of Haqq, they are from the Muhajirin or the Muhajirin. The Muhajirin are those who migrated from Mecca to Medina. Wal-Ansar, those are the Muslims who aided the other Muslims in Medina. وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ, and those who follow them in goodness. Those who follow them in goodness. And so we have a statement from Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah ta'ala. He says, لا ريب أن ما كان عليه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه علما وعملا هو معرفة الحق وتقديمه إثاره على غيره هو الصراط المستقيم. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah, he says, no doubt. He said, no doubt that which the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and his companions are upon from knowledge and action, then this is having knowledge of the truth and presenting it and sharing it to others. This is the straight path. He says, وَإِذَا عَرَفَ السَّالِكْ مَكَانَةَ أَهْلِ الطَّرِيقَ السَّابِقِينَ فِيهِمْ لَمْ يَسْتَوْحِشْ. He said, the person that is treading along this path, if they were to truly know the path of the people that came before them, then they will not run away from it. Qala Ibn Qayyim. Ibn Qayyim, he mentioned in his book called Madarij al-Salikin, he says, Qala ba'du salafi, some of the people of the past, they said, alayka bit tariq al-haq, it is upon you to stick to the path of truth. وَلَا تَسْتَوْحَشْ لِكِلَّةِ السَّالِكِينَ, and do not become frightened by the small number of people who actually tread the path of Haqq, who actually tread the path of righteousness, who actually tread the path of trying to be sincere worshippers of Allah. And he says, وَإِيَّاكَ طَرِيقَ الْبَاطِلِ. Ibn Qayyim, he says, beware of the path of falsehood. وَلَا تَغْتَرَّ بِكَثْرَةِ هَالِكِينَ, and do not be surprised by the great number of people that will be destroyed. But because you look at them, you might be amazed by their numbers. You might be amazed by their numbers. He says, do not be fooled by them. Do not be fooled by them. And then he says, وَكُلُّ مَا اسْتَوْحَشَتْ فِي التَّفَرُّدِكَ فَانْظُرْ إِلَى رَفِيقَ السَّابِقِ. And every time you feel lonely because you're by yourself and you're trying to practice the truth, then do not forget your companions that preceded you. Do not forget the companions that preceded you that are not here anymore. Because the reality, brothers and sisters in Islam, is death. There's no escaping it for none of us. And so he says, وَحْرَسْ عَلَى اللِّحَاقِ بِهِمْ. And be certain about Sunday meeting with those that preceded us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls us back. وَغُدُّ الطَّرْفَ عَمَّا سِوَاهُمْ. And do not look, do not pay attention on anyone that's besides them. فَإِنَّهُمْ لَمْ يُغْنُوا عَنْكَ مِنَ اللَّهِ شَيْئًا. That you are not in need of them. That you are not in need of them, and so do not turn to them. And then he uses the term minhaj al-haqqan. He says haqqan. Why does he say? If you find, he says, فَيَا سَائِلَنَا مِنْهَجِ الْحَقِّ يَبْتَغِي. And he says, سَلُوكَ طَرِيقَ الْقَوْمِ حَقًّا. Why does he say, seek the pathway of those who came before us, haqqan? Why would he say that? He said, follow the path of the people that came before you, haqqan. So he says, la iddi'a. How many people do you know that claim to be on the Sunnah? How many people? Everybody. Name one Muslim. You're not going to find a Muslim except that they're going to claim to follow the Sunnah. We're on the Sunnah. Or we're on the Minhaj al-Haq. Or we follow the Minhaj al-Salam. Or we're this, we're that. Or we're this. So much so that it has become just statements. So the Shaykh Rahim, or the Shaykh, he says, La iddi'a. He said, people, follow the pathway of righteousness, not with your claims. Not with your claims. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned in an authentic hadith. He says, Bayyana ala mudda'i. Bayyana ala mudda'i. Yani, clarification is upon the claimant. Everyone claims this and claims that. But the reality, as they say, the proof is always in the pudding. Well, where's the pudding? The pudding is the Kitab and Sunnah. The Quran is Sunnah. The Quran and Sunnah is the scale and the judge for all of us. Whether we are doing the right thing or whether we are doing the wrong thing. Not fulan, not this brother, not that sister, not these group of people in this location. They don't hold the rules. The rules are in the book and the Sunnah. And the understanding of the companions of the past, an agreement among the companions of the past, these are where the rules are located. The rules are not located here in Philadelphia. The rules are not located in New Jersey. The rules are not located in California. The rules are located in the book and the Sunnah. These are the rules. These are the rules and regulations. And he says, La iddi'a'an. And that people should follow the truth not by their claims. لأن من الناس من يكون انتسابه إلى طريق الحق مجرد ادعاء. He says, because you're going to find people. You're going to find people that claim to follow the haqq and claim to be on the truth. But in reality, it's only claims. It's only claims. Instead of saying, worrying about somebody else being on the truth, this is what we do. We always worried about the next person instead of worrying about ourselves. Instead of saying, fulan, he's not or she's not on the truth, what about you? How are you on the truth? What is your relationship with Allah like? Or what is your relationship with Allah like? Are you the person that carries a proper aqidah? Do you have the proper aqidah? Do you understand who your Lord is? Do you worship Allah properly? Do you possess the proper Islamic adab? Do you possess all of these characteristics instead of looking at someone else? An-Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam, he said, "Min husnu islam mar'i and tarkuhu ma la ya'ni." Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam, he said, the sign of a person's good Islam is to leave off affairs that do not concern you. Yep, we always find it easy to talk about someone else as opposed to looking into the mirror and look at ourselves and what do we see. And so he says, وَفَرْقُ بَيْنَ مَنْ يَدَّعِي لِنَفْسِهِ سُلُوكَ طَرِيقَ الْقَوْمِ دُونَ أَنْ يَسْلُكَهُ وَبَيْنَ مَنْ سَلَكَهَا بِالْفِعْلِ وَمَا أَكْثَرُ الْإِدِّعَاءَ حَتَّى إِنَّ أُنَاسًا أَهْلُ الْبِدْعَةِ. He said, There's a difference between people who claim to follow the truth versus the ones who actually do it. He says, how many people that are upon innovation in a religion, and they have, perhaps they even practice shirk, associating their partners with Allah, and that they have no right in doing so, right? وَإِنَّهُمْ عَلَى طَرِيقِ الْقَوْمِ عَلَى نَهْجِ الصَّحَابَةِ. And they claim to follow the path of the Sahaba. How many people make those claims, and the only way that you will know for yourself is following the Quran and the Sunnah? There's no such thing, brothers and sisters in Islam, there is no such thing as secret knowledge. Our religion does not possess secret knowledge, meaning that only I know it and he knows it, and no one else in the world will know it except for us. So if we tell you Fulan is off of it, you have to take my word, and there's no way you can verify anything. I don't know what you call this. This is not Islam. There's nowhere in the religion of Islam that you have people that cannot be questioned. It doesn't exist. This is not Islam. This is called something else. Islam, everyone can be asked questions. No one is above being asked questions about their deen. If I say something wrong, you can question me. If I do something that you believe is in opposition to the Quran or the Sunnah, you can question me, just like I can question you. But also you have to understand that with us, it's all about how you ask the question. We don't want to tear people down or rip them up. We want to find out whatever the truth is. Amen. Right now? Right. At any event, we're gonna end the class right now, inshallah. What time is it now? Right. We're gonna stop with that, inshallah ta'ala. We'll pick up next week. Inshallah, we will not have class. Sheikh Khalid al-Raddadi is coming to New York, New Jersey next week, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to try to make that, so we're not going to have class. It's not befitting that we teach a class and one of the mashayikh is in town. So inshallah ta'ala, we advise the brothers and sisters if you're able to make that journey to benefit from Sheikh Khalid al-Raddadi. He's from the mashayikh of Medina. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.